you able to hit full shots yet, or
Yeah.
and are you?
Yeah, I'm able to. Not well every day, but I can hit them.
Final thing with you in regards to your recovery, is the Masters off the table for you?
No.
One word Diesel was what Tigers said when he was asked if the Masters was off the table, and we react to that audio from over the weekend, from earlier in the week. Welcome to Wire to Wire. Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. A Wednesday hump day show coming right at you, and the big one at that. We're talking to Lulu, Kesin of the Greenville News at 422. Atlanta Braves for you. John Summerall, college football coming up, and early ending Furman basketball in action tonight, Diesel, at 6 p.m. airtime, 6:30 tip. We're
also doing a little game show at 5 o'clock. So In or Out is the name of the game show. Hope you, Diesel, and the Tolos are ready for that. A lot of fun coming your way. Get in on the conversation, 844-326-3663. Good to see Puppy, Monkey, Baby, Tolo.
Hey, where you been, bud?
What's up, man? And Dewey, of course.
Hey, Dewey's in there.
Dewey actually said, good afternoon, kind of being positive for a minute, right?
Well,
we'll take it while we can get it.
The word good is in there.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of surprising from Dewey.
It is nice to know that I am playing the same level of golf as Tiger Woods, where he says the shots are in there. I don't have them every day, but they're in there. That's kind of how I play golf.
Yeah,
sometimes I could hit one clean and I could put it 5 feet from the hole and I feel good about myself, and then I shank 3 in the woods. There's no consistency in my swing.
Well, there might not be a lot of consistency in Tiger's swing, but if you just tuned in, I want to go to fantasy land for a minute. With this audio one more time, if you just tuned in.
Hit full shots yet, or and are you?
Yeah, I'm able to. Not well every day, but I can hit them.
Final thing with you in regards to your recovery, is the Masters off the table for you?
No.
The Masters, the Masters in April is not off the table. So let's go down this road to start the show today, Diesel Tolos. Let's hear from you as well. 844-326-3663. Joy Law Firm text lines open. Diesel, this is fantasy land. I admit it is fantasy land, but I'm just setting the scene, laying the table out.
Oh God, here we go.
This is where we are. Okay,
here we go.
Could Tiger Woods have one more magical weekend left? You think so?
No.
You think?
No, there's no way.
One magical weekend.
He can't swing the club consistently. He can't even walk 36 holes without his hip falling apart.
I thought I was going to get you for a second. I thought you were going to say maybe he does. Diesel, it's not like, look, we're not asking him to go out and play 82 baseball games or 82 NBA games. I'm asking for one good weekend. And you remember, I remember, we all remember 2019, right? After the wreck, we didn't think it was a possibility then. And what happened? Tiger played one really good weekend of golf, and it happened. He won the Masters. He won his 5th Masters.
A weekend of golf really is like 6 to 7 rounds of golf, right? They got to play the 4 rounds,
Correct.
Thursday through Sunday. They got to go play a couple of practice rounds. I don't know how often, these guys will kind of camp out in a spot and try to hit multiple shots from a similar location just to figure out what exactly it is they want to do. There's more to it. That's a lot of walking. That's a lot of walking.
Maybe they get him a cart, though. Maybe they get him a card for this one.
Segue.
It's I know it's fantasy land, but let's just say, here's what we do on this show. We love good sports stories. We loved Indiana winning the national championship because it was a great sports story. It was, from the ashes, they were, and you and I, with all of sports fans over the years, have seen and heard and watched so many cool sports moments. But let's go to fantasy land just for a few minutes here. That's all I'm asking, just for the first segment. Then we can get back out of fantasy land.
Now, it would be the biggest sports story in American sports for 4 or 5 days. If Tiger makes if it looks like Tiger is going to make the cut, we're going to be talking about it nonstop on Thursday and Friday. Saturday, if we were live on the air, we'd be talking about it the entire show. We'd be dissecting every single swing. We'd say, look, there's the magic that he had. We'd be comparing it to former shots that he's hit, back in his heyday. We would say, Scotty Scheffler's being schooled right now by the master. We'd be saying all of those things. It would be amazing. I just wonder, Tiger's out there playing. That's great. But can we get anywhere close this same amount of Riz, as the kids say, if Tiger was at the Masters in some other capacity other than playing?
No.
He could
none.
Him in the commentary booth doesn't do anything for you?
It does a little bit. It's not the same though. It doesn't I would enjoy it. I like listening. I like Tiger a lot. How can you not? Right? It wouldn't be the same. So here's a bold one for you. And this is really, really, really bold. Like the bold A1 sauce that you brought. I think you brought it up one time on the show, or a caller did, right?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
This is a bold one for you. Since we're in fantasy land on this Wednesday, I'm gonna go on a limb and say, Diesel, if Tiger Woods, and I know it's a big if, like a really, 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 really big if, but Diesel, on this 18th day of February, if it were to happen, I believe it would be the greatest sports story in the history of sports. The greatest sports story ever. Like dating back to the first ever sport.
It would be talked about every year at the Masters for the next 50 years at the Masters.
Like, Diesel, this is there's been so many great sports stories, right? There's been the New England Patriots coming back to win down 28-3 in the Super Bowl. We talk about that one for a long time. We talk about Kobe's final 60 games, right? We talk about Jordan's buzzer beater, his last second shot to win the NBA championship. And Tolos, let me know if you agree, disagree. 844-326-3663. I think this would be the best sports story in the history of sports stories, because you're looking at a guy in Tiger who would tie Jack Nicklaus. Diesel was 6 wins in Augusta. He already has 15 major wins. And I know if you just tuned in, somebody's yelling at the radio right now saying, oh, this is the biggest load of bull I've ever heard. This is fantasy land. Well, you're exactly right. It is fantasy land. That's what we're doing. Diesel, you're talking about right now 15 major wins. If he were to do it, he'd have 16. 18 World Golf Championships, right? 82 PGA Tour victories. 142 consecutive cuts made, which would then be 143. Or excuse me, I said that wrong. He had 142 consecutive. He has obviously way more than 142, but so many records. 2000, the year 2000 for Tiger, a record 9 wins in 2000, right? Where he just dominated the world. And I know it might be disrespectful to say you have greats like Michael Jordan, you have greats like Tom Brady that have all had great moments, and you go list the great sports moments out there. I think this would top every single one of them. I think it would be the best sports moment in the history of sports moments.
Yeah, it would be one of those. Are we really thinking it's a cultural moment that transcends everything else that's going on in the world? Like, do you think NBC Nightly News is talking about Tiger Woods winning the Masters? First story, first topic.
I think so. I think it's on every news outlet. I think how old's the guy now? He is so old in terms of the length of where we saw him. He's 50 years old, by the way.
Okay.
From where he started to now, it feels like Tiger Woods has been around our entire lives.
Yeah, but with all the damage that he's done to his body, both, just natural with swings and then with his accidents, like, how old do you think a doctor would look at his joints and his body and say, you're actually like 80?
Yeah.
The shape of your body.
And that's why I think it makes the story so amazing. And Tolos, if you think I'm wrong, tell me what sports story would be bigger than that. At 50 years old, Tiger Woods winning the Masters. Diesel, on Twitter, Christopher tweeted at me, at the Cole Bryson, and said, Cole, just my opinion, but I'll believe nothing will surpass the 1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team miracle on ice.
That was incredible. We had absolutely no business beating the Russians in 1980. No business whatsoever.
That's a good one.
And we did it.
That's a good one. What else, though? Like, I think recent years, right? I think.
Is it like Dale Earnhardt finally winning his 500?
There's a lot. There's a lot.
You know?
And there are also a lot in golf too. And you know who else it would rival? Like if this were to somehow happen, it would rival so many of Tiger's great moments.
It would rival me shooting par through the first 9 holes of a course.
But would you say this, Diesel? Would you say you agreed? And tell me, because Tiger's had a lot of good moments over his career, right? If he were to win it this year, somehow, some way, would this be single-handedly Tiger Woods' best moment? Just looking at him by himself, he's had a lot of good moments. But would this be the best ever for Tiger?
Best
At
ever?
50?
No.
No?
To me, the longevity and everything that he achieved over the course of his long and illustrious career, that outweighs this. This would be incredible, right? This would be a Herculean accomplishment.
Yeah.
But I mean, going out and winning a tournament versus what did he make? Like 100 and something odd straight cuts.
140, I think, is what it was.
The number of
140,
wins he
something
had,
crazy. Yeah.
You can't, in my mind, wipe away or overshadow all of that with one great weekend at the Masters.
It's at 50 years old and all these back surgeries he's had and a reconstructed leg. I don't even know, does he have a real leg anymore? Right?
He's bionic at this
you're
point.
talking-
He's an actual Terminator.
He might be. You're talking about Diesel, like Mount Rushmore sports moment territory. So, like, again, Kobe Bryant in 2016, when he scored 60 points, I think that was an incredible send-off. That was one regular season game. It was one game, no championships on the line. And let's be honest, we remember I was watching that game. The defense,
they were letting him score.
Or letting them score. Okay, they were letting them score. You go to the 1998 finals. Michael Jordan, last shot, right? Championship winning shot, cementing Michael Jordan's legacy, right? Now, he was still elite, Michael was, and in his prime at age 35.
Heck of a ball player, too. Baseball player.
Yeah, and a NASCAR owner.
Yeah.
A 50-year-old Tiger, Diesel, beating the best players in the world over 72 holes of golf. Call me crazy. I love Michael. I'll always be a Michael fan. A 50-year-old Tiger beating the best players in the world in 72 holes is a bigger moment to me, in my opinion, than Michael's game-winning
Now,
shot.
Mitchell does bring up a beautiful idea, beautiful moment. He says Tiger and Scotty in the final pairing on Sunday. You know, these are those moments that you never get, right? You didn't get Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods playing in the same area. You don't get Scotty and Tiger being like competitive against one another, playing in the same area. It doesn't
I got
happen.
goosebumps when you read that text.
It's like it's like those fantasy what if moments. It's like the simulations. Like, hey, let's put Mike Tyson up against Mike Tyson in his prime up against this modern amazing fighter, and let the computer simulations decide what would happen. This is that in real life. That would be amazing.
What would the ratings be for that?
Enormous. Like they'd break their broadcast system. It would start smoking.
Tiger, that's a great text. Who's that from? Mitchell, that's a great text. Look, I know it might not happen, but we're living in fantasy world in this first segment. Jay Tez on the Joy Law Firm text line says, hell, he won the last time at the Masters. It became one of the greatest sports stories ever. I'd love it, but I don't see it. Jay Tez, you're right. And that's a big part of this conversation that we're having right now, Diesel, is, hey, let's not forget in 2019 when he did win the Masters, to Jay Tez's point there, that might be right there Tiger's best ever. I mean, you could argue that what he went through, the comeback, the mountaintop experience. Oh, by the way, you remember that Masters, he was trailing and rallied back on Sunday to win that Masters in 2019. So I think there's a lot to that. I'm a big LeBron fan. I still think LeBron's 3-1 comeback against the Warriors, Diesel, the 73-win Warriors, was about as legacy-defining as you'll ever see in sports. He was 31. He was in peak condition, LeBron was. They had no team in the history of the NBA had ever come back down 3-1, ever. They came back down 3-1, wins a championship. But even me, the LeBron fan that you know, Diesel, even the one you know, Tiger at 50 years old with a fused back and a shattered leg, it's a different universe.
I say let Tiger take as many steroids as he wants for this event.
Pump it.
Right? As
Pump
many as he wants. Like, put a little asterisk next to his name, say that he's not actually playing in the same tournament. as everybody else. Let him take the PEDs. He's going to need them to get through 72 rounds at Augusta.
I just think when you look at all that's happened, and I know that it's just like we're talking about something that's like I don't know what the odds are and what the odds will be, but we know it's very unlikely. But the oldest Masters winner ever, Diesel by a wide margin, multiple spinal infusions. Maybe he can get one more, like you said right there. He nearly lost his leg in that 2021 car crash, right? He then ties Jack Nicklaus with 6 Masters wins. He adds that to his 15 majors.
And Jack, by the way, Jack is the oldest Masters winner. So that would be one more thing that Tiger could get up over.
But he wasn't 50, right?
He was 46.
Wow, still
He was 46. So if Tiger could find a way to do it at 50 after all of that, I mean, look, Jack Nicklaus is cemented. He's not going anywhere.
No.
In the pantheon of golfers. But, this is one of those things that, like, years down the road, as people are debating who was better, people would say, well, Tiger won the Masters at 50. Jack won it at 46. I mean, that would just be one more thing to put in the pros and cons column.
And while a lot of people out there probably would take Jack Nicklaus as the best ever, that's fine and dandy. But look, the reality is Jack Nicklaus didn't have near the impact on the game of golf that Tiger Woods had. And it's not even close.
You know what Scotty needs? Scotty needs a good nickname, right? Like Jack was the Golden Bear. Tiger is Tiger. Like Scotty needs
Scotty is his nickname.
Yeah,
that's it.
Let's call him the Scorpion. How about that?
I don't like that.
The Scorpion.
No, you got to have. I don't know. He's Scotty. If you're going to give him a nickname, it should have been something to do with his jail cell appearance 2 years ago. Remember
Felon.
that? Right. I don't know.
Degenerate.
I just look at this, and maybe I bring this segment up because I love good sports moments. I thought last year, I've said this multiple times now, I thought last year's moments was incredible, or last year's Masters was incredible. Rory on Sunday was just like a roller coaster at Carowinds, and it was just up and down and up and down and up and down, and he wins the freaking thing, right? I love watching sports. I love watching like good wins and loss, whatever. But I think for all of us, the one thing that unites us all and that kind of wows us all, Diesel, is those just defining sports moments. And, for whatever reason, we don't get them as much as it feels like. It doesn't feel like we get those sports moments as much anymore. I don't know if that's true. I know Indiana just winning a championship was a big sports moment, Diesel, but like Indiana winning a championship doesn't compare to Michael's game winner in the finals or anything like that. My point being, it feels like we've been years without a really, really good sports story. I think Rory's was pretty close to the top last year, but if somehow, some way, Diesel, this were to happen, if you heard the audio that Tiger Woods, and I know you can't see this, but he had this little smirk on his face. And it kind of just gave me chills. One more time, for those that just tuned in, here's the audio that we're talking about and why we're having this conversation. This was from earlier this week.
Are you able to hit full shots yet? And are you?
Yeah, I'm able to. Not well every day, but I can hit them.
Final thing with you in regards to your recovery. Is the Masters off the table for you?
No.
There's a silence after the no. I think the silence after the no is what kind of gets you, right? It's what draws you in a little bit. It's what gets you going because we all appreciate Tiger and what he's done for the game. Now, our luck. We just talked about this for 15, 20 minutes, and he'll announce tomorrow he's not going to be in the Masters, right?
Of course.
That's just the way it goes. But
I didn't say I was playing. I just said it wasn't out of the question.
Wasn't out of the question. I just think, man, somehow, some way, this would be the all-time greatest sports story ever. I really do.
Would be a lot of fun. And I really do hope for all our sake that Thursday, Friday, he is up there in the mix. If you're shooting even par, it won't matter who is leading the pack. It'll just be all about Tiger. All about Tiger. And I think maybe he can keep playing long enough to play with Charlie.
Maybe
Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be cool.
Father-son mixed doubles. Cole, when we come back, there is a story sweeping the college basketball world. We've kind of brushed up against this topic once or twice in the past. It involves a crabby old basketball coach. It involves potentially a dumbass question from a reporter. We'll chop it up on that next. wife and I went out in the afternoon to a bar downtown, grabbed some beers, headed back towards the house. And in our drive, I asked her, have I gotten grumpier with my older age? Now that I'm past 40, am I getting grumpier? Before I even got the words out of my mouth, yes.
Oh,
I was like, yes, you're getting grumpier.
too grumpy.
I can tell. We had a laugh about it. It was a lot of fun. But Mick Cronin, the head basketball coach at UCLA, is definitely one of the grumpiest guys in college basketball, Cole. He's had multiple incidents over the years where he's shown his rear end. He doesn't really care because, well, he's a really, really good basketball coach with a 681 win percentage. He's gone to the NCAA tournament 4 times. He has 4 regular season championships. He's been in the Final Four. I don't think it matters to Mick Cronin if he is seen as kind of a jerk. Well, he had 2 incidents in their game last night, a blowout loss, by the way, to Michigan State on the road. And one of these, I think he was completely 100% justified. And if this was the only story today, I would be applauding Mick Cronin for the way he handled this situation. There was a foul during a breakaway layup that Steve Jamerson, one of his players there for UCLA, really hacked the other player across the neck and the shoulder area, fouled him really hard. And Mick Cronin, you know, after the sort of scuffle and dust up happens, he pulls his guy away and says, get out.
Yeah.
You're out of the game. Get out of here. Here is what that sounded like on the court last night.
Long cross-court pass. We'll get a free run for Cooper. He gets fouled hard from behind by Jamerson, and Cooper gets right in Jamerson's face because of the hard foul. Jamerson stood his ground. Now remember, Jamerson, a student here at Michigan State. Mick Cronin says, I want you out.
Yeah, Mick is sending
Wow.
What into the locker room because Cooper's way out there, right? You don't want to hurt anybody this late in the game. Cooper is way out there for a dunk. You don't want to be dirty.
Yeah, it was a dirty play, flat out. It was an absolutely dirty play, and I thought Mick Cronin handled that perfectly. And said, this is not who we're going to be here at UCLA. And then after the matchup, Cole, after the game was over, he is in his press available, absolutely worked on the road. He is not happy that 3 of his stars, Donovan Dent, Eric Daly, and Trent Perry, all guys that this team really depends on, were all held far below their season averages. They got out rebounded. They worked just a bad performance on the road. He was asked by one of the reporters in the tunnel. So this was not at the availability well after the game. Like, it didn't look like they had gone and taken showers and they were sitting in front of a backdrop or anything. He was asked what he thought about the Michigan State student section chanting the name of one of the players who was previously at Michigan State, who is now on his roster at UCLA. And here's how that interaction went down.
What was your thoughts in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the?
You really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the
Are
other.
you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you
Oh
are.
my God.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you were. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody, this is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
What a jerk.
He asked the
What a
question.
jackass.
He answered the question, but the problem I have with it is he answered, or not only did he answer the question, he also asked the question in his answer. So then he was expecting a response get back from the reporter. The reporter responded, and he got mad at him. What do you want him to do?
Mick Cronin is a basketball coach at UCLA. He is not whoever this reporter's boss is. Look, I mean, you may think that some questions are asinine, and we've had many examples over the past couple of months and the past 2.5 years that we've been on the show that are stupid questions. They're lazy questions that they're clearly set up to get a specific answer to go on this person's podcast, website, Twitter, whatever it is, And that's all they care about. They don't care about any ins and outs of the games. They don't ask those intelligent kind of basketball or sports related questions. But that's not Mick Cronin's job, because this individual reporter, it's his job to know his audience.
Mm-hmm.
And if his audience cares about that kind of stuff, as asinine and silly as it may be, it's his job to ask those questions.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I mean, the guy sounds old man, get off my lawn kind of guy, right? I think that, I think this is probably the first time I've ever heard of a player ejecting his own coach. I've never, or a coach ejecting his own player. I've certainly never heard of that happening in a college basketball game or an NBA game. I've never seen it happen. I can't recall a time a coach has ever ejected his own player. There's been a lot of basketball games. I think that's a little bit out there. So I think it's a bad look. And you know what's weird about it is, like, could it lead to his firing? Well, you might say no, but I don't know. I asked Rocco Miller yesterday about Kansas State. The coach 4 days ago went on an epic rant, right? Not like similar to what Mike Cronin said, but went on a really epic rant. And guess what? 4 days later, he was fired. So not saying that like this could cause Mike Cronin to be fired, but it's a horrible look if you're UCLA.
Well, to your point, here was Tom Izzo on Mick throwing his own player out of the game.
I felt for Mick, his team's a lot better than that. And I guess he upgraded that to a flight win too, huh? That's the first time I saw a coach do it, but that sounds like Mick, so he'll get that straightened out.
I love Tom Izzo. Who doesn't love Tom Izzo? The guy's been around forever. He has seen everything. But to me, it was the Mick Cronin disrespect to the reporter saying, "Come on, dude, that is the dumbest question I've ever heard."
Yeah.
Like try harder than that. Like, stop being an ass, Mick. That's not your job. And Mick has a history of doing this. He was criticized, snipping at press moderators in March Madness last year. He has been known to skip
To your program is what I want to know. I mean, what's attractive about that? Like when a president or AD,
that's the thing, is he wins. He's got a 681 win percentage.
Yeah, they're not good this year.
He's 155 and 73 at UCLA, which is pretty good.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's won a lot of games.
I guess it doesn't matter if
multiple
you're
places
an a-hole as long as you win. Basically, that's the moral of the story.
Pretty
right?
much. I mean, look, he didn't cross a line where UCLA personnel have to get involved and actually punish him.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll pull him aside and be like, "Hey, Mick, that wasn't cool, man. Try to press the flesh a little bit, because hey, we're all in the advertising business, right? Mick is trying to advertise his program to prospective recruits and to guys that want in. Are you telling me that if Southern Cal is trying to get a guy or Oregon is trying to get a guy, they're not going to use this clip of Mick Cronin being an ass against them? Of course they will.
Yeah, and I guess my thing is, who wants to go play for that guy? I mean, if you hear that, I mean, why would you want to go play for him? I don't know. I think we've seen some weird rants like Tang and then Cronin. Like, there's just been some weird things happen this year. I don't know that they rival. What would make Cronin's response been if he had the venue? What was it, the Oklahoma game last night or night before, where the popcorn machine caught on fire and everybody had to leave the venue? Really, it happened. It happened, and I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the illustration that's needed. And again, I know he's a good coach. They're not good this year. They're 8-6 in Big Ten play, but I think they're probably they're a bubble team right now. We'll talk more about bubble teams later, but they're a bubble team.
I've seen a lot of people referring to Mick as having small man energy, because he kind of tried to do the "do you feel in charge" thing from Batman. He tried to bully the conversation in the moment. I'm like, come on, dude, you're wearing a medium suit jacket right now. You don't have any place to tell me how to do my job as a reporter. I mean,
just a jerk.
How many? I'm shocked, and I give the reporter a lot of credit for not calling the guy an a-hole to his face. Yeah. Like, take my press credentials. I don't care, Mick. That is not your job to tell me how to do my job. I'm a reporter. You're a basketball coach, and you just got your ass beat by like 30 on the road.
And you know what? It begs the question: at what point do the coaches? And I know, like, during college football, we've seen it here locally, and it happens on a yearly basis. But at what point do coaches have to understand that, like, there is a line, and I think he crossed the line. I do. I think he crossed it, and I think there's needs to be a point where people understand, these coaches understand, Diesel, that hey, these reporters they're doing their jobs. Do they have bad questions? Do they have bad days? Sure, they do. It happens, but at the same time, Coach, you have bad games.
I think he needs to go through sensitivity training.
Yeah,
he needs to be reminded that everybody here has feelings, Mick, and that you don't get to be an ass to people just because you're a basketball coach making millions of dollars. Tolos, what do you think about Mick Cronin and his reaction to that question? I mean, to me, he could have said, nah, the player had enough maturity and wherewithal to ignore that student section. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say and move on. Like, no, it didn't affect him. Move on. Instead, he made it a thing. Cole, here we're approaching Selection Sunday. I know it's still a couple of weeks away. We got to go through the last couple of regular season games for a lot of teams, and then we have conference tournaments. And for a lot of teams, that tournament decides whether or not you get in to the NCAA tournament. It doesn't matter what you do over the course of your regular season. I'm just wondering, Cole, as we see this every year, it's become one of my pet peeves in the NCAA tournament. Is it wrong when the selection committee puts conference champions into play-in games? You see it every single year. As a team, you play your 30-some-odd game schedule. You go on a run in your tournament because it's the only way you can get in, right? Your body of work ultimately doesn't matter to them. It's what do you do over that 10-day conference tournament schedule. That's the only thing that matters to them. You did what you were asked to do, and to me, it feels flat out wrong to put a conference champion into a play-in game. Why not have, when you've got a weak-ish 2 or 3 bid conference, why aren't those teams having to play in? Why is it the teams that did what they were asked to do have to play in? Because a lot of people will look at it and say, oh, well, if you're one of the 4 play-in teams, you weren't really in the tournament at all.
Well, what are there 4 play-in matchups? And again, like the problem is, though, so you've got conferences, you've got small conferences that we're talking about here. So like the MEAC, I guess, would be one of them.
Yeah, current bracketology on ESPN has Howard versus the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
That would be MEAC and America East. They also have, and I promise you this is not me being selfish here, App State and Bethune-Cookman playing in as well.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you've done this season. In a conference championship, like, it's good, it's great. But again, it goes back to kind of, my opinion is, at least, it goes back to what I've said multiple times in college football. I don't want parameters on everything so that there can't be any kind of flexibility or fluidity, if that makes sense. I want us to be able to look at it year by year over year. Why does a conference champion, why can't they play they're too good to play in a play-in game? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you are a good enough team, you'll win the play-in game.
Well, that's being told that what you were asked to achieve isn't good enough to get into the NCAA tournament.
What do you mean?
Right? Because you won your tournament. That used to be the requirement to get into the field of 64. And then they've added 4 more teams onto the field of 64 as play-in games. So you're not actually in the tournament unless you win your play-in game.
Well, there's just so much more to it than winning your tournament. The eye test means a lot.
It does. It does. But it's kind of the same conversation we've had with the college football playoff. It's like you did what you were asked to do. Yeah. But still, that achievement is then minimized by saying, well, you're not really in the tournament at all because you're in a play-in. If you don't win, I don't know if play-in teams get credits, like tournament credits, money for actually being in. I don't know if they get tournament credits for winning play-in games or if they've got to wait until they win a play-in game or win a field of 64 game.
I don't know that they do. I think they have to wait. I think they have to wait. I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. But again, win, take care of business. And I just don't much precedent set. I don't want too many rules that we can't look at it on a fluid basis, right? Year to year. I guess that's all I'm saying. Diesel, when we come back on the other side, I've got some good and I've got some bad. I also have a new mandatory rule. If you want to pitch for the Atlanta Braves, there's a new mandatory rule that you have to abide by. I'll tell you what that is next. me, Diesel. I'm the one setting this rule, and I hope the Atlanta Braves front office is okay with it because this is the new rule. As I give a couple of good reasons to be optimistic heading into the season 35 days away, and a couple of negative red flags as well. Some good and some bad on this Wednesday. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. And we have a big show still coming your way. Remind you, though, hour number 4, there is no hour number 4 today because of Furman basketball. So Dan Scott and the crew will will have the call beginning at 6 p.m. All right, let's start with a new rule. As we got news today, Diesel, breaking news that Spencer Schwellenbach had a procedure today to clean up loose bodies in his elbow. Hurston Waldrop is scheduled to undergo a similar procedure on Monday. The Braves have not set a timetable for either pitcher's return, but manager Walt Weiss said he's hopeful that both could be on the mound later this season. I don't know what later means, but you're talking about two guys in Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrop who are immediate impact guys. So my new rule, it's now mandatory. I tweeted this out earlier, Diesel. In order to pitch for the Atlanta Braves, you must first rip your elbow apart. That is a mandatory rule if you want to be an Atlanta Brave. Is that too egregious in your mind? Just go ahead and get it out of the way is all I'm asking. Just go ahead and rip it apart. Let's go ahead and have Tommy John before you sign the contract.
How about you sign the deal and somebody comes and hits you in the elbow with a baseball bat?
Well, anything
just go ahead and mess it up now.
To get the needle, to get under the needle is all I'm saying, because all of these Atlanta Braves pitchers seem to have had surgery or having surgery. By the way, good to see Stephen Webb on the stream on Facebook. What's up, Stephen? Good to hear from you. So some good and some bad. I've got two good and two bad. I want to hear your reaction, Diesel and Tolos, 844-326-3663. Do you want the bad first, in my opinion, or the good, if you had to pick?
Oh, give me the bad first. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. We can forget about it for months.
Okay, so the two things, and I think there are a few bad things about the Braves heading into the season, like I said, 35 days from now. But I think the two things that worry me as a Braves fan are, number one, the starting pitching uncertainty, right? A major concern this offseason, Diesel, is the starting rotation depth and health, right? Two of those things that are really, really worrying me. You have promising young arms. Schwellenbach and Waldrop, I like them a lot. But guess what? They're both undergoing elbow surgery. They're both going to miss a lot of time. I just think when you like reliable starters behind those few arms, Atlanta could struggle to be consistent, kind of like they were last year, Diesel, over a long season. That's key in a tough National League. Number one worry, red flag I have is the starting pitching uncertainty. Love it or hate it?
I love it.
What's your name?
Yeah, it's a tough place for this team to be in, to have its stars out as soon as the season starts. But good news is, season's long. You got time to get them back.
Hopefully they do come back. Again, there is no timetable yet on Schwellenbach and Waldrop. But bad thing number two, I think offensively, you just wonder, like, what's it going to take this year to be better offensively from the core that you have? And I'll talk about the core in a minute, but like the struggle last year at times, the pitching was bad, but you couldn't get offense going, man. So, like, we know this year going into 2026, there's going to be some issues on the mound. There's going to be guys out, but my biggest worry is last year you had all these guys that just weren't consistent offensively, and guess who was consistent? Ozuna. And Ozuna's no longer with the team. So offensively, man, the bottom half of this lineup, they last year offensively weren't great in stolen bases. They were near the bottom half of the league in that. That's something they need to fix. With Ozuna leaving, there's uncertainty in the middle of the order now. Close games. You got to have a dynamic offense. That's worry number two. So those are my two red flags, my two worries. Starting pitching and offense.
Well, those are two massive worries
that
together lose you a lot of baseball games.
Yeah.
Together have Cole saying the season is lost by game number 25.
Like it was last year.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You can't stop anybody from scoring, and you can't score yourself.
All right, now two good things. I do have some good, believe it or not. I do think the overall roster depth is better this time of year than it was last year. I think they did make some offseason moves, some tweaks to give this club more depth. Suarez and some other guys. They brought in an outfielder. Walt Weiss, look, late in games, he's going to have that depth. And I think they did a good job in the offseason. Not a great job. Iglesias back, I think that's big. Obviously, they'll need contributors. Better roster construction was something that we saw last year. Even though the Braves had this core, the roster construction was something that we just didn't like. And I think they did a little bit better of a job. So I think they're overall a little bit deeper of a ball club. And then number two, they still have a superstar core. That's the second good thing. So, look, as bad as 2025 was, Diesel, the Braves still have elite talent like Acuna, like Harris, like Austin. Like they've still got dudes. Now, going back to the bad, a lot of those dudes didn't step up last year in prime spots, but they've still got dudes, and I think that's one of the biggest positives going into the season.
Yeah, I mean, talent is great, but you got to be able to put it together. You got to be able to put bat on ball. You got to be able to put, runners around home plate. I mean, yeah, it's great to have all this talent, but if you can't do anything with it, what does it do for you?
All right, let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. We've got time for one, and then we'll have to hold TA over to the next side of the commercial break, if that's okay, TA. Just hold to us. Dewey, we've only got time for you in this break, then we'll get to TA in the next break. What's up, Dewey?
Well, first of all, you hit the nail on the head again. Well, first of all, that Swellenbach person, he got hurt. They had a chance to sign Chris Bassett. They had a chance to sign someone else. No, they just let someone else sign those two stars, and guess what? They came out with nothing. And Topless talking about they're looking for a playoff caliber pitcher. Well, my goodness, if you don't have a playoff caliber pitcher on your rotation now, who are you going to get? Hey, and Topless needs to be fired. And as far as Ozuna is concerned, that was a sorry move not to re-sign him. Just because Walt Weiss wants to let someone else be DH. That's what Ozuna did. He DH'd. He scored home. Now he's gone. So good luck with that, Walt Weiss. And anyways, perhaps have them win in like 86 games.
Thanks, Dewey. Appreciate the phone call. TA, we're coming to you after the break. Hold to if you don't mind.
And we got some skate audio from John Summerall laying down the law to his Florida Gators. That next. A loaded hour here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. In the very next segment, we'll be talking to Lulu Kesin of the Greenville News. Does a phenomenal job covering South Carolina women's basketball. They had a huge win over LSU just a couple of nights ago. We'll get into that with Lulu. We've also, Cole, got well, kind of a crazy story that went down with BHP High School. We'll end the show with that, so stick around all the way through. That's what TOLO means, by the way. Turn on, leave on. That's what the L actually stands for, despite what a lot of people say about us. But let's jump back into the conversation from the last segment. We were talking Atlanta Braves. Dewey got his thoughts in. Let's bring on TA, who's got something to say about these 2026 Braves.
What's up, guys?
What's up,
Great
TA?
Stuff as always. Hey, is Dewey for real? Huh?
What do you mean, is he for real?
We've been questioning that every day, TA.
I mean, like, huh? I mean, he's gonna get Walt White fired, huh? Because he won't let Ronald Acuna run the play in the field, huh?
Yes, huh? Is he real? We don't know. We know that he's real something. How about that?
I like the guy. Y'all need a chair in that studio for Dewey. I do. Yeah. Love it. But no, about the Braves have always been a conservative team. If they're in it at the trade deadline, they'll trade away some prospects to get. I'm not sure what tell me about Acuna. He wouldn't re-sign him. I mean, that's a $500 million deal right there. What did Acuna? I know he's on the team this year, but he wouldn't extend him or something. I just caught
I think they will. I think they will. I think they will eventually. I mean, he's going to ask for what, 800? I don't know what he'll ask for. I have no idea.
I say between 500 and 600 million. He can't go over Ohtani because he pitches and hits 50, 60.
Sure.
And so he just does about about half of what Ohtani does. That doesn't mean he gets half of Ohtani money. That just means he don't throw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, he's under contract for
$7
$17 million in 2026, and the club has options TA for 27 and 28. I just don't know. Look, it was an 8-year, $100 million deal he signed in 2019.
That was a great signing.
Great deal, right?
Signing.
So yeah. I think he stays, but it's a $17 million club option for 2 years, and keeping him under those 2 years, TA, he'll be a free agent in 2029.
Right, and me playing through a work stoppage in the minor leagues back in '94.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Look, let me say this real quick. Last thing on Acuna.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's a fantastic player, but if I can get 3 more seasons out of him and he's wanting $800 million in 2029, I'm letting them walk in 2029.
No, my point is if they go to the collective bargaining agreement and they walk away, somehow the owners twist the arms of the players just enough to where they walk away with a salary cap. Then what happens? I mean, that puts teams like Atlanta, fighting for their lives.
Sure.
I think you could see a work stoppage because back in '94 I was privy to some inside knowledge, so to speak, and the baseball players just won't play with a salary cap because they want their bag, and if they're hurt, they can't play. And basketball players tanking. I don't think they should get money if their team's tanking, but that's another story.
So TA, what do you think the league looks like if somebody is able to pass and force down their throats a salary cap? Because these teams are going to have to say, look, we can't pay you what we've been paying you, right? That would have to be a reality. The contracts would have to come down. You saying that professionals wouldn't play for less money, but they're still getting paid tremendous amounts of money. Like, how do you wrestle with that? Do you have to double balloon the size of these teams and say, well, okay, we're only going to pay you half, so you're only going to play half as many ball games. We've seen what's happened with sitting out in the NBA. That is a recipe for disaster.
And that's why there will be a lockout.
Well, again, in '94, remember, there was no World Series. There's always been an NBA title, always. Never not been an NBA title. So in 94, the players are just going to stand their stance, and they're just not going to work.
There's going to be a lockout at the end of this season, TA. There will be a lockout. I'm 80% sure there will be.
Yeah. So I don't mean to take up all your time, but I know we got from the Braves to a work stoppage, but I'll let you go on that. But I do think that's a serious option, and we're talking about future monies for people.
Sure.
I would have to say those contracts are guaranteed, signed, sealed, delivered. But, again, back in 94, those guys knew what would happen, that the market would outrun the money, so to speak. And it did. The money outran the market rather.
And now we're in a situation where you got teams paying Ohtani, like $1 million a year and saying, hey, in 2050, we'll give you $200 million or $500 million or whatever it is. I mean, they're having now to promise them future salaries rather than actually being able to pay an actual team inside their own dugout to go be competitive.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, by the way,
job,
TA. Always appreciate it. Philip on the stream, and I agree 100%. He says, look, 100% let them walk at the end of the options. And look, it's going to be a hard decision. There's going to be a lot of Braves fans that are just unbelievably upset about that. But the problem is, like, you're just the amount of money that you're going to just have to eat to pay that guy in 2029. Is it going to be worth it? And here's the reality of it. And I don't mean to get negative, Diesel, real quick, but let's say you're not any better this year. In the next 2 years, you're not like consistently back in that playoff or championship hunt. Well, it was the same conversation we had when Craig Kimbrell was kind of on the back end of his career in Atlanta of, why do you have an all-star closer when the team sucks? Well, in 2 years from now, if the team still sucks, why do you have Ronald Acuna wasting his years if the team sucks? So there's got to be more than Ronald Acuna, and hopefully the next 2 years they can build to not replace him, but be ready for 2029.
You know, the situation where Major League Baseball is in right now, or could be in the near future, kind of is a very good analogy for where college football is, right? I mean, we have no salary cap in Major League Baseball. The payments are getting out of control, and it's getting to the point where teams are going to say, look, we just can't afford to build rosters this way anymore. We have to change something, which is also where college football is headed, right? You got collectives saying, we can't pay this kind of money. We had Kelvin Sampson 2 weeks ago saying that we're not going to be able to recruit and spend money the way that we used to, as being a top 10 team in the country, which is why, Cole, like, I know that you cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube. It is really, really difficult to tell somebody who was making, $80 million a year, hey, you're going to have to accept 40. And that's just the way that it is. They're not going to say yes to that. But that's exactly what John Summerall, the new head football coach at Florida, is trying to impart upon his players. Like, remember 2 weeks ago, we had the audio of John saying, hey, you're not going to wear that Gator logo on your clothing until you've earned it. You are a Florida player right now. You are not a Gator yet. Well, now John Summerall is effectively saying, I don't care how much money you're making. Don't tell me that you don't want to work hard because you're not making enough money. And this is, the tough love kind of voices we need in this game. I don't think it's going to change much. But the question I have for you after you hear this, does this attitude benefit or backfire against John Summerall?
Like, if a guy wants to, act some sort of way about having to do something tough, I'm like, dude, you make money. Shut up, bro. Like you're getting paid, dog. Put the work in. So I think some coaches with this new world we're living in of transfer portal, NIL, have gotten softer. I've probably gotten crazier. I'm like, no, I'm not. Don't tell me about this is too hard. Like, we're all pros here. Be a pro.
We're all pros here. Yeah. We're all getting paid to do this. Some of you are getting paid a little bit of money. Some of you are getting paid a lot of bit of money, but we're all getting paid to be here and to do this job. Sack up, shut up, and go do the work.
I think most coaches probably feel that way. I think that Summerall's speaking and saying something there, Diesel, that most coaches probably feel.
He's
already.
Saying it out loud, though.
Yeah, and that's the difference. And look, coaches, I talked to a bunch of them, not as many at the Division I college level as I do, lower colleges and high school, but they all feel for the most part the same way. And there's only a few that speak out on it. And the few that speak out on it, get a lot of ridicule for it. But you poll 90% of the coaches, they all feel that way. They stay quiet. They do their job. They collect their paycheck. And his point about like, hey, we're all getting paid, he's right. If he gets reprimanded or whatever for that, like, that's dumb. He's 100% right in the fact that it's no longer, hey, we're going to bring you in and hope things work out and grant you this scholarship. You are getting paid as much as my coaches are. Some of you are making more than my coaches are. So I don't want to hear any of that. I 100% love what he said there.
There was a coach, and you may know this quote off the top of your head. Somebody maybe help me out as well at 844 fan phone on the Joy Law Firm text line. There was a clip from a coach who was making fun of his players. He's like, I got to make sure I get my wristbands just right. I got to get my chain on. I got to make sure that my grill is looking a certain kind of way. Like, you got to look at all these different kinds of things. Was it the coach at Coastal Carolina who was, he said, I need a bunch of dogs? Was it that guy?
I don't
who
remember.
Said that? You know that clip I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is that attitude repurposed into the modern world. Florida football got soft for a long, long time. And I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, that's kind of what Auburn tried to implement with Brian Harsin back in the day. Now, he obviously had his own set of crazy issues, but John Summerall is trying to bring the same thing to be in Gainesville in a new era where guys will look at it and they'll say like, hey man, how much you getting paid? Oh man, that's twice what I'm getting paid. I'm not going to work as hard anymore. And it's a tough job, man.
Well, I think he's saying the right things, but what it all comes down to, and not just in Florida's situation, but with any coach, guess what? You better win, because if he doesn't win, those things that he's saying, those things that he's doing, they're going to become old. You kind of compare it to Dabo in a way. And I know it's not the same things Dabo's saying, but think about it. Dabo said all these things, and guess what? Fans were A-okay with it when they were winning, and bringing home championships. And, Dabo quit bringing home those championships, and then fans kind of like, yeah, Dabo, I'm tired of hearing you talk about good men and being. So same thing there with Summerall in Florida. My point being that, hey, you can be a dog. You can be this fiery coach. You can have these absolute concrete morals that you live by. That's fine. But if you don't win, it ain't fine. That's just the simplicity of it. You win, you're fine with it. You can bring the appetizers and the desserts all you want, but you better win.
I don't know if this kind of attitude ends up being, that evidence of why you were successful at Troy and Tulane, places where you're not going to get big time NIL money, where you're building your program with guys who want to just go out there and compete and show people at a higher level, versus at Florida, where everybody in that conference is getting paid a whole heck of a lot of money. How do you convince guys who happen to sign with Florida to have a different attitude and a different mindset than the players who sign at Alabama? Because, well, maybe not Alabama. It's not a great option. But at Georgia, at Texas A&M, they're doing both, right? They're getting a lot of money and they're dogs.
I think that's why what you just said, I think that's why recruiting right now in today's era is more difficult than it's ever been. What do I mean? Yes, you have to go get talented players. Yes, you have to be able to afford those talented players. But you know what else you have to do? And this is why I think Diesel, what Kurt Signetti did was so impressive at Indiana. This is why I think it's more difficult today than ever, because you just brought it up. You just asked the question, how do you find that line? How do you find that balance? Well, guess what? You might have a good player, but he has a terrible attitude. I think recruiting in today's world is more difficult than it's ever been, because you have to be able to balance a player's character versus a player's willingness to want to be there versus a player's willingness to want to play versus a player's willingness to want to learn and sit behind a player versus how much money is he going to make, right? There are just so many more factors. And recruiting 15 years ago, was it difficult? Yeah, it's difficult, but there are so many things that go into it now, just from the aspect that you just brought up, that I think make it incredibly challenging. And you just, money's going to be there. Money's, unfortunately, now it's always going to be a part of the game, Diesel, until something major happens. So how do you find the players that, like, when you talk about the elites, the ones that are in that top level, how do you find those elites that also are program and culture guys? Those are the ones that bring home championships like Indiana just did.
True. It's going to be fascinating to see how it works out for him at Florida. I think he's a phenomenal coach.
I do too.
I hope that he goes on to do good things because I think he would be in that same vein as Kirby. Hopefully he wouldn't look the other way at all the traffic violations going on in Athens. But maybe a tougher, more hard-nosed version of Dabo Swinney in the media because he has never shied away from a microphone. Cole, this is bad news if you are a Texas Tech basketball fan. I don't know if you've heard this news, but All-American forward JT Toppin suffered a knee injury, a season-ending ACL tear in his right knee against Arizona State yesterday. He is done for the season. Just a really tough loss. And, you don't want to see the stars on any team go down at this point in the season because, based on their entire resume, they might still be a tournament team. They'll probably still be a tournament team, but how effective are they going to be in the tournament without their star?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to see injuries. Like, teams are going to get beat.
Not now.
Yeah,
right?
but the injuries affecting it in the way they do, especially for a team like North Carolina last night. Like, my gosh, you talk about injuries affecting them. Big win for Will Wade, but my Lord, that was a team. They were a shell of themselves last night.
Biggest win over North Carolina in 63 years.
Yeah, I believe it. It was never close. Never was. Buckeye Mike on the text line. Joy Law Firm text line says probably Mike Leach. Sounds like him.
Probably.
Summerall sounding like Mike Leach. Is that what he means there?
The coach who in his speech was talking about wristbands and necklaces. You want to make sure you look good. I still think I'll look it up in the break, Buckeye Mike, and we'll have it at some point later on in the show.
No, I'm with you though. I do like Summerall. I know it was when Florida hired him. I know it wasn't a sexy hire, but the problem is now, like, here's the root of the problem. Who is a sexy hire out there? There are only a few sexy hires out there, right? You're not getting Kirby. You're not getting a lot of these guys. So I think it's really important to know, okay, well, guess what? Things didn't work out with Billy Napier. Again, we've had this conversation with South Carolina basketball in Lamont. Like, you've got to just, I'm not saying keep recycling guys and keep taking chances, but you got to take a chance on this Summerall guy, and I think he'll do good.
It's my hope as a fan of a G5 team that Power 4 administrators, they stick their nose all the way up in the air and say, no, we're not going to hire away those G5 coaches. I don't care how good they are. We're too good for them. We're going to keep hiring away coordinators from one another. We're going to keep retreading old coaches. Please keep doing that. Please keep doing that.
Here's my only worry, and we got to run to a break in a second. My only worry is, though, Florida was patient a little bit longer than I thought they would be in that last year and a half with Napier. I just wonder what's the patience going to look like with Summerall? You got to be patient with the guy. I'm not saying give him 5 years because you don't need 5 years anymore, but I do wonder, like, this guy coming in, he's saying the right things, but, this is a fan base that wants to win yesterday.
Speaking of patience, I've seen some scuttlebutt out there on Twitter. Some Missouri fans are already, having those second thoughts about Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah.
As good as Drinkwitz has been at a program that doesn't have this amazing history of success, they're already saying, like, I don't know if winning 8 or 9 is really good enough to be the coach of Missouri.
Man. Of the Greenville News, she's awesome. She joins us every Wednesday at this very time. We'll talk Gamecocks with Lulu Kesin next. Talk Gamecocks with Lulu, Kesin of the Greenville News. If you're a Gamecock fan in the upstate and have a question you'd like us to get into, Lulu, hit us up on the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663. Talking Gamecocks, maybe a little football if we have time as well. Lulu, I want to know, though, from you, what surprised you the most on Saturday night in the 79-72 win for South Carolina? I'm going to give you two options. Option one, Malaysia Fulwiley not being as effective as one would have hoped. Or option two, Flau'jae Johnson missing both free throws right there at the end of the game. What surprised you the most?
Definitely the free throws. Flau'jae Johnson is a pretty mentally tough player. She's made a lot of big plays. I was shocked to see. It's rare to see a player that good miss critical free throws. And unfortunately, in some ways, the writing was on the wall a little bit with the emotions of the game sort of centering and, running through Malaysia Fulwiley. I thought that leading up to it, obviously a lot of talk could be said about both teams, but at the end of the day, Malaysia is the only one that was transferring and playing on against her old team. And so I'm unfortunately not surprised that I'm not necessarily suggesting the moment was too big, but I think there were other things that mattered more in that game that sort of got, ignored. And so I'm not surprised that she was a non-factor. And unfortunate, I'm hoping from a human perspective that it wasn't because she felt like the pressure was too big.
Lulu, why do you think it is, when we are in the coaching carousel in college football, we hear like the Michigan coach was fired because they couldn't beat Ohio State or vice versa. And you hear that kind of stuff in rivalries all across the country. Why do you think it is that in women's college basketball, when South Carolina is the litmus to all other programs, for a team like LSU and Kim Mulkey, when they have been able to beat South Carolina in 18 straight tries, we've seen that LSU is willing to spend money on coaches. Why is that stat not essentially used against Kim Mulkey?
Yeah, well, I think had she not come from a school where she had so many national championships, that's probably would be a reason for, potentially an exit. I mean, it's hilarious. She's beat every SEC team but South Carolina, which is just kind of an absurd stat to think about and speaks, a ton to who Dawn Staley is. And I'm sure a lot of, great coaches have never beat Gino at UConn and things like that. So I think that Kim brought a lot of experience, but if you want to get real sort of nitty gritty with it, and that goes to your question, like there's a lot that you take away Kim's national championship at LSU and you're just looking at what she's done, and obviously taking away a national championship is a big deal. But at the same time, like you look at the other success that LSU has had outside of those seasons, and then you sort of start to wonder about Kim a little bit here and there and where they're finishing in the NCAA tournament. But it's sort of like year after year, LSU is this consistent and strong competitive team, but South Carolina just continues to prove that there's still like a pretty big gap between the two.
And Lulu, what's so fun about that conversation is we just got emails today that, for those attending, covering the SEC women's tournament in Greenville, the credentials just came in today. What's so fun about this conversation is that it is 18. Yeah, it's nice, but it might not last forever. And we could, I hope we don't, but we could see the rematch as we've seen multiple times in Greenville. If we did, would you think that, all of a sudden, Gamecocks having another big home crowd in Greenville, do you think that the streak maybe does come to an end this year at some point?
Yeah, that's a good question, and something that I thought about even just the last year and the first time, because I think with every team that South Carolina ran into last year, I thought, this might be tough. South Carolina, a lot went right. I think of like the Oklahoma game, for example, last year. South Carolina, I think, was up on Oklahoma by like 40 at halftime. It was something absurd. And I said to myself, Oklahoma might win in the SEC tournament quarterfinals. Like this isn't guaranteed. Like that, it could have been sort of a fluke, and then South Carolina beats them by 20. So I think that in some ways, yes, LSU could walk in and get revenge because, in all honesty, everything sort of went right for LSU with the exception of a few things here and there, and a lot went wrong for South Carolina. And so you can look at it two ways. will South Carolina learn from it and play even better in the rematch? Or will LSU prove that, okay, we're a much better team if we make our free throws? There's so many different, levels and layers to it. But I think that even if LSU were to beat South Carolina, it would only enhance the fact that like people could believe, okay, this is a rivalry. Now there's some back and forth, but I don't think that it would count as much as a regular season win, especially this year when South Carolina beat LSU on the road.
So they honored Dawn Staley with lighting up the top of a tall building there in Columbia. Apologies for not knowing the name of that building, but a special honor for Dawn. And like we were just talking about, winning 18 straight over LSU. I know she has dozens of accolades and streaks and titles that can be bragged about. It's hard to know from her because she doesn't give us a whole lot in that sense. But what do you think among those different accolades does she value most?
Yeah, again, that's a good question. I mean, she's one of 4 coaches to win 500 games at an SEC school, and in terms of women's basketball. And I think that you think about Dawn, and I think something she'll always pride herself on probably the most is, okay, did my player graduate and did my player make it to the WNBA? And obviously there's a lot that do the former, more than the latter. But I think that making it to the league, and, Dawn calls herself a dream merchant all the time. I think she takes a lot of pride in making sure that the 4 years that she has, for lack of a better word, control over these 18 to 22-year-olds, that she's making a difference where they can accomplish their dreams. And so she knows, she's talked about how sometimes she had to be not the, softest person for Camila Cardoso and sort of be the hard person in her life, but she did that because she wanted her to accomplish her dreams. So I think there's a lot of individual things that are just insane about Dawn. Her salary, the number of wins, the wins against Kim Mulkey, the national championships. There's so much that she as an individual brings to the table, but I think that she loves nothing more than to be reminded of how many WNBA players came from her program, and not because it reflects on her, but because she knows it made someone's dream come true.
Lulu, as someone who covers the team day in and day out, what excites you most about the conference championship? Because, we're in a world now where conference tournaments don't really mean a whole lot like they used to, especially in football, right? And now in basketball, we're talking about, obviously locally it means so much because it's in the state, right? And there's a huge fan turnout. But what's it mean in your mind in a society, in a world now where conference tournaments are almost talked about as just being a waste of time?
Yeah, and those are 2 points. Kim Mulkey has said that. Even recently, Coach Yo was expressing, in some ways she wishes that there wasn't one because losses impact NCAA tournament seeding. But that's all to say, the SEC is so good. They have 10 ranked teams right now. Wow. I think 4 or 5 are in the top 10. The SEC is so good, and anyone can win and anyone can lose on any given night. And Vanderbilt being the 4th number 1 seed in the first reveal of the rankings, only to lose to Georgia less than 24 hours later, really goes to show how deep the SEC is this year. And so I think if anything, that should, increase the level of excitement for the tournament, knowing that it isn't just a cakewalk for 1 or 2 or 3 teams anymore. And, obviously it used to be Dawn versus Vic when he was at Mississippi State last year. Vic kind of came back into the picture with Texas, but South Carolina, it matters to them. It doesn't just matter because it would be the 10th. It matters because the league is really hard this year. And I think anyone who is able to win the SEC tournament, even though some coaches, may not put a lot of value in it, anyone, whoever wins it this year more than years past, I think says a lot about the willingness to win and the grit and the talent level. And that's what it's going to take in the NCAA tournament. So why not start practicing, a couple weeks early?
Lulu, this is a wild number here. If you go to the ESPN matchup predictor, South Carolina's got a 90% chance to win the game on the road at a ranked Alabama team, which just shows how dominant they are. But they're still ranked teams for a reason, right? Alabama, Ole Miss, Kentucky, still 3 ranked teams on this slate. Do any of them, as you've done any of your pre-scouting, do they do anything that you really think gives them fits? I know, teams that really penetrate well, South Carolina's had a little bit of trouble with, and I say that in air quotes, a little bit of trouble, but who might give them some fits?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kentucky and Ole Miss will probably be the hardest. Kentucky has a forward/center, Clara Strack, who is one of the most mobile centers I've seen. I mean, she had this one-legged turn spin move. I forget what game it was. It was fairly recently, where I was just like, holy crap, man. Like, she'll give her defender trouble. And I think she'll be a really good test for someone like a Medina Okot, who's done a really good job against more stationary centers. So this is going to really force Okot's athleticism to come out, especially just on defense and then also on offense, trying to work around her. Ole Miss is a well-oiled machine. They've had wins that you're sort of like, okay, I guess that was an upset. And then they've had losses where you're kind of like, oh, they should have won that game. It's a toss-up, but Cody McMahon is coming off a 39-point performance. They have to play LSU first, so it'll be interesting. Alabama plays well at home. Dawn said that. Dawn said she always has trouble with Alabama on the road. Last year, Joyce Edwards scored like 11 in the fourth quarter to pull away. So I think like a good test, since Alabama was South Carolina's first game of the season with the home and home, like to see how Alabama or how South Carolina can handle them at home will speak to like where this team is in February versus January.
Lulu, I'm going to give you two players, and I want you to tell me if you're going to take these two players or are you going to pick your own two in any conference across the country, women's college basketball. I'm giving you the two Johnsons, Raven and Flage. Are you going with them or are you picking two others?
So
just in terms of power ranking, who you want on your team? Do you want those two, or can you find two better ones out there?
I think I'll take any team Raven Johnson's on.
What makes her so special, though, in your mind?
I think her defense and her mental toughness. Like a lot of people, sort of after like big wins, wonder, like, oh, what was it like? And it's like she's just been doing it her whole career. It's crazy when you think about how many big games she's played in, and to have a point guard that can weather quite literally any storm while also being the one to play make this year like she has been, while also getting the toughest assignment on defense. Like she handles so much and she does it with such poise and she delivers night in, night out. And I mean, Dawn Staley said today, if she was given the ball to anyone for the final shot, it would be in Raven Johnson's hands. So got to go with her on that regard.
Lulu Kesin of the Greenville News, you retweeted a video of Isla McDowell staying with the play after getting her shot blocked. She put up a second attempt. She made it. Would you look at Isla as one of the glue players on this team, or has that sort of shifted and moved over the course of the season?
Yeah, that's a good, I mean, I think the two freshmen are. I think that someone like Isla McDowell and Agat McKeer have both proven at times that they are like the glue and that they are able to kind of bring, I think when you have a really talented upper class like Dawn has with the Johnsons and has, Joyce, who's only a sophomore, you sort of need someone, and you might think, oh, a junior would pull, the seniors and the sophomores together. But I think good, talented freshmen remind every player that like, you're only, your age and your class mean nothing. All that matters is how you play. And so I think those two have really kind of embodied that this year.
Lulu, when you look at the rest of the way, we've talked about it now a couple of times with you when we've had you on, but outside of the SEC, we know that South Carolina is going to be a tournament team. We know they're going to make a deep run. You look at who that maybe concerns you if they match up against South Carolina in the Elite Eight or Final Four or maybe national championship.
I think UCLA is tough. I think a UConn team will always be tough, and that's no knock to UConn, but like this UCLA team, man, they're good, and they've played a really difficult schedule, and I don't want to get it, I don't want to feed into the whole like Big East, UConn has a soft schedule type of thing because they're an incredibly talented team. But if I'm just looking at like who has played really great teams, I'm looking at an UCLA that has played a really tough schedule and has not lost since November.
Lulu, I know we don't know where teams are going to be seated yet in the SEC tournament. We still have a few games to go, but in a hypothetical matchup scenario, I know you're there covering South Carolina, but two teams in the SEC playing each other that you would absolutely be in that building for no matter what if South Carolina is not in the game.
Oof. Two SEC teams I would just want to watch play.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think I would want a rematch of Kentucky LSU because it ended on a buzzer beater. And I think that overall, though, it's always fun to watch a Vanderbilt. And I think a Vanderbilt and a Texas would be also fun because I think Texas played so poorly the first time. I'd be curious to see what that looked like again.
Lulu, you're the best as always. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too, Lulu Kesin of the Greenville News. And now we're just what? I'm looking at the calendar here, creeping up on this thing. Not this weekend, not the next, but the very next weekend is tournament time. So we've got 2 weekends left of regular season before we get to the SEC Women's Tournament right here in Greenville. And also one of the first rounds of the men's tournament in Greenville as well. So we're going to have a lot of basketball in the NCAA tournament postseason right here in Greenville.
You know, nobody here listening to this show probably wants to see South Carolina take a loss down the stretch in these last 4 games, but I don't know that that would necessarily be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Refocus the team, kind of wake them back up here down the stretch. Alabama, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Kentucky still to go for the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. So when we come back, let's take our whip around the sports world, look outside of the state of South Carolina. That is next. Great big wide world out there, Cole. There's a lot happening in the sports world. Let's get to all of it right here on our Daily Wires. This is the Buzz. Caleb Wilson was missed last night for the UNC Tar Heels. They got absolutely smoked in Raleigh last night, 82-58. It was NC State's largest victory over UNC in 63 years.
Smoked? I mean, they were annihilated last night. It was bad.
Yeah.
But you know what? You'll take it. You'll take it. Doesn't matter who's playing or not. Will Wade, they'll take it.
Of course. That's a program builder. Number 1, Michigan got a big road win over number 7 Purdue, beating them by 11, 91-80. They'd been up as many as 20 late in the first half, but Purdue was able to make it a little bit closer down the stretch. Also in college hoops, Florida beat South Carolina 76-62. The Gamecocks are now 11-15 on the season, 2 wins in the SEC.
Hey, they covered though.
That's great.
Hey, that's all that matters.
Hey,
I mean,
it might be the only reason anyone's watching South Carolina basketball.
Why win when you can cover? Good teams win, great teams cover.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Okay. Duke coach John Shire is going back and forth with the local Orange County District Attorney after the DA said there was, quote, zero evidence to support Shire's claim that Blue Devils staffers were punched during the court stormings in Chapel Hill. Jeff Neiman, the DA, said that Shire should, quote, exercise more discretion in his public comments. Shire fired back with, I know what I saw and I know what happened with our staffer, but he also said that he'd like to move on and focus on Syracuse. It is worth noting that District Attorney Neiman is a North Carolina grad.
Well, that's, of course, par for the course, right? But look, John Shire fits in so well at Duke. That guy is such
Shire the crier.
He is such a whiner. I mean, good God. I mean, you don't lose the big games, John. Don't lose them, and they won't storm your court. You freaking. It's getting old. It's getting old. Court stormings. It's
not going away. Not going away. Last piece of basketball news here for you. Texas Tech's leading scorer, JT Toppin, suffered an ACL tear in last night's game against Arizona State. He is done for the season. A huge loss for the Red Raiders at Fifth Third Park last night, which they are calling now the Fraction. I don't know if that's they were referring to an event as Action at the Fraction. I like it. I wanted to.
I hadn't heard about this.
South Carolina beat Wofford 8-2. The Gamecocks now 3-1 on the season.
We'll take it. Need a win. Need the wins.
Clemson absolutely throttled Charlotte yesterday, 11-1 in just 7 innings. The Tigers are unbeaten, 4-0 on the season.
Good start.
Very
They hadn't
good.
played anybody. I mean, it's good. Army's good. I shouldn't say that. Army's a good team. The Army will be in the postseason, but we'll see what happens when they get in the conference play.
Major League Baseball Players Association Executive Director Tony Clark resigned on Tuesday after an internal investigation revealed an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. Oh, dear God. Who was hired by the union in 2023. The union announced Clark's resignation in a statement yesterday. That's bad.
Nah, it doesn't sound great. No. I mean,
that's
no.
about as bad as it could get.
Yeah, I mean, that's not recommended. By the way, Gardner-Webb just took a 2-0 lead over South Carolina, so the Gamecocks down early at home at Founders Park in Columbia today.
Well, the Gamecocks might be down, but America is up. The U.S. is up 1-0 at the end of the second period in the men's hockey quarterfinals over Sweden.
How about it?
There
Let's
you
go, guys.
More Olympics here for you. 30-year-old American Michaela Schifrin won gold in the Olympic slalom event, snapping an 8-year Olympic medal drought. She won with the 3rd largest margin of victory in a women's Olympic slalom ever. Huge win for her.
Slalom?
That's the one where you go down the real bumpy trail and you just hang on for dear life.
She swallowed them?
Wow.
I'm repeating what you said.
Slalom.
Oh, okay,
buddy.
gotcha.
Slalom.
Okay,
Slalom.
all right.
More Olympics here. USA also took bronze in the men's team sprint cross country and bronze in the men's slopestyle final today. So USA stacking up some more medals.
USA. I love it. I love the Olympics. I
way
love
back
it.
in the medal count, though.
I love
Not
it.
doing well. The Kansas City Chiefs have reworked Patrick Mahomes' massive contract to create some cap space going into the 2020. The deal converts $54.45 million of his salary into a signing bonus and lowers his cap number to $34.6 million. So they're going to be able to spend a little bit instead of being completely hampered by that gigantic contract. Northern Illinois head football coach Thomas Hammock, famous for his victory at Notre Dame in September of 2004, is leaving UNI to be the running backs coach for the Seattle Seahawks. He'll become the highest paid running backs coach in the NFL.
Pretty good gig there, buddy.
Not bad. Not bad. Walk right into a great situation. Though we don't know if Kenneth Walker will come back to the Seahawks next year. And this is a wild one, Cole, as we've talked so much about scandals with gambling in college athletics. And this is not exactly gambling, but it's just as bad. Florida's IMG Academy has been hit with a $1.7 million fine for accepting tuition linked to a Mexican drug cartel. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets, it's a big mouthful, claims that IMG accepted tuition fees for 2 students whose parents are linked to the Mexican drug cartels. OFAC claims that IMG had their names, yet failed to screen them. Tuition at IMG ranges somewhere between $98,000 and $102,000 per year.
You just can't make this stuff up. Like, you can't. That is so bad, but I wish I could say it surprised me. It doesn't surprise me.
If you're a Mexican drug cartel member, why are you sending your kid to IMG?
Shane Barrett on the YouTube stream said, look, Marty Bird had to pay his kids' tuition somehow. Marty Bird, I love a good Marty Bird reference, Shane. That made my day a lot better. I love it. Good
I never
Ozark.
finished that show.
Well, that's your fault.
I never finished
It's the best.
It's a cut rate Breaking Bad.
It is so good. Like, so good doesn't even describe how good Ozark.
Maybe I'll get back into it.
You need to. You need to. It's elite. All right, on the other side, it is time for you and I to play a game show. Not the burger restaurant, not the fast food burger restaurant, but a game of in and out. In or out, that's what we're doing. And Tolos, you're invited to play along. We'll describe and explain the game next. Be-eyed for the Gamecocks. KJ Scobie comes around from second and scores. South Carolina has cut the lead in half. It's now 2-1. Gardner-Webb leads South Carolina in the bottom of the third. You certainly don't need a midweek loss to the Bulldogs from up in North Carolina, Diesel, if you're Paul Maneri. So we'll keep you updated on that one. 2-1, bottom of the third. Gardner-Webb leads as of right now. But it is time for a good old-fashioned wire-to-wire sports game show. Diesel. The game show is titled, I hope the Tolos will also, no, let me back up. The game show is not titled, I hope the Tolos will also be involved. The game show is titled In or Out. Now, I will proceed to say I hope the Tolos will be involved as well at 844-326-3663. Here's how the game show works. I am going to present you, Diesel, a resume of a team, what they've done, their record, where they are currently, and based on what I give you, you and the Tolos tell me at 844-326-3663. You don't have to use the phone, by the way. You can just use your microphone. But if that team should be in or out, these are all bubble teams, okay? So they're bubble teams. Maybe making it, maybe not. We're looking at the bubble teams.
Are we going pure resume, or do I get to know who each of these teams are?
I am going to, after you tell me if they should be in or out, reveal who the team is. Now, there are some of them you'll probably know, you'll probably guess after I give you some of these details and clues. But just a blind resume at first, and depending on how it goes, we'll get in on the action. Shane says, can I use the stream? Yeah, of course, Shane. We'll look over and get your comments there. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. 66 Tolos watching on those three platforms right now. Joy Law Firm text lines open, 844-326-3663. Slow down, Cole. Game show music, please. Why did it stop?
Oh.
That's it. Game over.
It's my favorite song.
All right, here we go. It's back. It's time for a game show on this Hump Day edition of Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Let's play a game. Let's have some fun on this Wednesday, this Hump Day edition. Bubble teams, in or out? Diesel, team number one. You're going to be surprised by this team when I tell you this team's name here in just a few minutes. But they're currently a 9-ish seed. I use the word ish on purpose. Okay. If you haven't been dialed into the SEC, just gave you a big hint, by the way, for the past couple of weeks, this team will surprise you that we're having this conversation about them being on the bubble. This team beat Florida on the road, which is a really good win. They own a neutral site win over St. John's, and they were ranked in the AP poll for 7 straight weeks at one time this season. But after 4 straight losses, this team, they're now 14-11. Don't look at the stream.
No,
5-7 in SEC play.
I'm going to change my screen. I can't see it.
You're good because the team is now on it, just like that. Like that. Still a top 40 team when you look at selection metrics, but the uncertainty around one of their leading scorers only adds Diesel to the what if when it comes to this SEC program. Again, a 4-game losing streak, a resume that's borderline. They're currently projected around the 9 seed. I will tell you this to give you some more info because you are deciding if they're in or out. On the season, they're 14-11. They're 5-7 in the SEC.
Okay.
Winning percentage, .417. At home, they're 9-3. On the road, they're 2-5. Again, this team has lost 4 games in a row, Diesel. And tonight, this team is in action, so it's a big one tonight. But based on what you've heard before I tell you who this team is, do you think this team should be in or out?
Well, they should be out. They're clearly trending in the wrong direction. The season is falling apart on them. They shouldn't be rewarded just because they were playing well back in January.
This team that I am talking about, referring to, that Diesel has decided is out, is the Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
That is why It popped up on the stream so quick.
Shane's very aware of what's going on with the Auburn Tigers.
I mean, instantly.
I was like, it's not Alabama because they haven't been on that bad of a losing streak.
Yeah.
Though they are kind of struggling down the stretch. Yeah. I was like, it's not Tennessee. They're better than that.
Yeah.
It's clearly not South Carolina because Gamecocks fans would kill for that resume right now.
They'd kill for it. But I will tell you, I agree with your sentiment. I don't think you can put them in. They're a bubble team. I just don't think right now you can put them in because 4-game skid's been bad. They've got Mississippi State tonight.
We also can't reward nepotism hires. We got to punish Nepo hires.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Pearl.
Yeah. I think as of right now, unless they just shoot right back up, Diesel, I'm with you there. All right. Next on our game show, are they in? Are they out? By the way, one texter from the 615 got in, and he also said out. So if I missed any of those texts, I'll get back to him at 844-326-3663. All on the same page regarding Auburn. Up next on In or Out. Hope you don't want a cheeseburger by the time I get done saying in and out. This team.
Where's the closest In-N-Out burger to us?
Probably Texas. Not seriously, but they're a Texas chain. I would say the closest ones, maybe Florida. I'm going to guess Florida has an In-N-Out burger. Am I right on that? Did you look it up?
I'm looking it up now.
When I lived in Texas, I loved In-N-Out, and I preferred In-N-Out over Whataburger, believe it or not. Have you ever had an In-N-Out burger?
I have not.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Way better than Whataburger. No disrespect to Whataburger.
Whataburger sucks.
In-N-Out's really good. In-N-Out's really, really good.
It looks like they're expanding into Tennessee.
Oh, are they?
But that's as close as they're going to be.
I just figured some might be in Florida. I didn't know if they had it. But it is a really, really good burger. All right, In-N-Out. In or out. This team, oh, boy, you're not going to like this. This team, Diesel, their overall record doesn't look bad of 17-8, okay? So they have an overall record of 17-8. Their conference record is 7-5. But I've got some bad news for you. This team has also lost 4 straight games. And guess what? I'm going to make it a little easier for you in the same conference in the SEC. This team boasts a conference record right now at this moment of 7-5. Again, they're on the bubble. They're a bubble team. And they have not looked good as of late. When it comes to this right now it's a quad 3 game tonight in which I can't tell you who they play, but they've dropped from a 7 seed in CBS Sports Bracketology, which is pretty good, to a bubble. A big drop there. 7 to a bubble. Yeah. Had a quad 3 home loss to Ole Miss. The Aggies. Oh, I slipped up. I slipped up. You don't know who the Aggies are, do you?
There's like 6 of them in the SEC.
I was reading, and I just read what was in front of me. I read it. It's A&M. It doesn't kill the game, though. A&M. They are on the bubble now because of this 4-game losing streak. It's been really bad as of late. The bleeding must stop. They are in action tonight. But this is an A&M team that has a little bit better record and resume than an Auburn, Diesel. Are you in or are you out on Texas A&M?
The 4-game losing streak should disqualify him. I think it matters what happens in the SEC tournament. Right now, I'm saying in.
Okay.
Right now, in. But there's a good reason why they're on the ball.
I've watched them play a couple of times this year. They're still a good team. But 4 in a row, to your point, it's not good.
Corn Chip messages in on the text line, says, put me down for a blanket, out. I don't know ball.
He wants out on all of them.
Yeah.
He's just going to go out. Out.
I would love to say they should all be out. If they have questionable resumes, leave them out.
That's what the bubble's for.
Let the best teams in the smaller conferences in.
So
but that's not going to happen.
No, it's not. More bubble conversation here. Next up on In or Out. Diesel, I'm going to give you another hint. We're staying heavy in the SEC. We'll get out of the SEC eventually, but we're right now staying in the SEC. So making it pretty easy on you here. This team recently, Diesel, snapped the funk with a big road win, bumped their improved seed in the projection models. They're currently around the 10 seed. But this team still has some work to do. This team still has some flaws on their roster, some holes. They're 18-8 overall, though, Diesel. Do you like that? 18-8?
I like that a lot.
Okay, now, SEC record. You want to know what their SEC record is? 6-7.
Oh, God.
6-7. That's what their SEC record is.
I'm going to guess we're talking about Alabama here.
You would be incorrect.
Oh.
You'd be incorrect. Now, hey, ho. This team's really good at home. They're 11-4 at home.
Kentucky?
Georgia. Georgia, the Dogs. The Dogs. They have a big one on Saturday, by the way, against Texas.
Leave them out. Nobody wants to see this non-basketball school in the tournament.
You don't mean that, do you? You don't mean that. The problem is, again, they're a formidable team. Got on a little bit of a tough stretch the past couple of weeks. They did snap it, but again, like I said, still have work to do. You know what's crazy, though, about this conversation we're having, Diesel? There's going to be a lot of teams on this bubble come Selection Sunday from the SEC. A lot of SEC teams. So what does the committee do with all these SEC teams? I mean, we've already talked about A&M and Auburn and Georgia, but you've got others like Texas and Missouri.
I mean, we've seen major shifts where the ACC goes from being that conference that gets 8 or 9 in to getting 3 in.
Right?
Why can't we see that in the SEC as well? See them shift from like a couple years ago. We were saying, oh my God, the SEC is here.
Yeah.
They finally figured out how to play college basketball and they're going to dominate this sport. It just shows it's a little shakier in basketball.
And I just wonder, I do genuinely wonder how many of these teams in the SEC will get out. I don't know that Georgia deserves to get in. And you said a minute ago, there's still a lot of basketball to be played. Not a lot, but there's still some basketball to be played, right? What you do in the conference tournament, though, if you are the czar, Diesel, if you're the ultimate decider here, does the conference tournament sway your mind? Does it sway your opinion on these teams getting in or out?
Yeah, I think it can. I mean, if you have it depends on your matchup. It depends on how you perform against that matchup. If you're playing against a team that's as good or better than you and you beat them handily, I'd say that's a benefit of the doubt giver from the SEC tournament.
All right. Next up, on, in, or out. This one's interesting. And I don't know if you'll be able to guess this one, but I'm going to throw it at you anyways. Diesel. This team here plays at Seattle tonight. Currently, last 4 in, according to the latest bracketology. Now, I'm going to give you the record, okay? And you're going to ask me, why are they a bubble team? Why are they in this conversation right now? But I'm going to give you the record anyways because that's part of the game. This bubble team is really, really interesting. Should they be in? Should they be out? I'm giving you some info. I'm trying not to give it away here.
Okay.
Because it's got their team name in it.
Be careful.
They closed the regular season with some high-profile games against Santa Clara and Gonzaga. Their mascot, I don't know if you'll be able to get. I didn't know it until I just read this article. They have 0 quad 1 victories. And 0 victories, Diesel, here's where it gets bad. 0 victories over projected teams in the field.
Ouch.
So their strength of schedule is not great, if that makes sense, right? This team, let's see what other info I can give you. They are, despite that, Diesel, top 40 in resume metrics because of a 5-1 quad 2 record, because they have suffered no quad 3 or 4 defeats. This team cannot afford to give the committee any reason to start asking questions about its lack of big-time wins. This team I'm talking about, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, is St. Mary's. Do you know what St. Mary's mascot is?
Gales.
God, you are too good at this. How do you know all these mascots?
I only know that one because they're in every year.
They are.
And I think that matters a lot. I think there's more precedent or more weight given to teams that are perennial tournament teams.
Should there be, though?
Shouldn't be. It should be a blind resume conversation.
Do you know that? And here's where I'm going to give you the record, and you're going to say, well, wait a minute, what? They're 23-4.
Yeah. But they played a weak schedule.
23-4.
Run roughshod over it, except for how many quad one games have they played?
Quad one games.
So they hadn't won any quad one games, but how many have they played?
It doesn't say. It just says they hadn't won any. I don't know how many they've played. I don't know that I'm looking at their schedule right now. I don't know that they've played any quad one games, to be quite frank with you. Their 4 losses are, no, they have played Vandy.
They played Vandy, Santa Clara, and Gonzaga.
And all
3 of those were quad one.
And they'll play Santa Clara again next Wednesday.
Here's the thing. They were not competitive against Vanderbilt.
Nope.
Got blown out by Vandy.
Yep. Lost to Boise State.
Road game at Santa Clara, they lost by 8.
Yeah.
A road game against Gonzaga, they
played
lost
good,
by
though.
8. So they played good.
The committee don't care about that, though, do they?
I think they do. I think they do, though, with St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Think about this, though. We're having the conversation. They're 3rd in the WCC, by the way. We're having the conversation, Diesel, a 23-4 team on the bubble. That's crazy to me, right?
Yeah, I think they're in. I think they're in.
Even though they don't have that impressive quad one victory. But I think, again, to play devil's advocate, the fact that they don't have any quad 3 and 4 losses is big too, right?
Yeah, they don't lose to bad teams. I mean, you could put them, where are they projected right now?
They are
Probably
projected.
7 seed, 8 seed?
Well, last 4 in.
Oh, last 4 in. So they're on the, okay. I get that.
Whew.
God.
So that's
I think it's very matchup dependent.
But here's the problem, though. If you're St. Mary's and your right now current projection is last 4 in, what can you do in these last 4 to prove to the committee that you're worthy of being in? You have Seattle, Washington State, Santa Clara, which you just said is a quad one game, right?
Yeah.
And Gonzaga, another quad one game.
Their best win, it was a neutral site game against Virginia Tech. I still think they're in, but I don't think they should be.
Let me ask you this question. If they lose the final 2 to Santa Clara and Gonzaga, they're out. They got to win 1, right? Got to win 1 of those. I don't know that they can win both. I don't think they're beating Gonzaga. A good team, St. Mary's is, but
well, they lost to Gonzaga on the road.
Okay, so they're getting them
by
at home.
8.
They're getting both of these at home, actually.
And that would be by far, well, not by far, okay, because Gonzaga is 7th in this bballnet.com poll here. That would be the best win of the season for them.
No doubt.
And that's the best opponent they played. Vandy was a good one as well. 13 in the metrics.
Sounds crazy to have the conversation of a team that's 23-4 on the bubble. Like, that's crazy, isn't it? Maybe not.
I mean,
it's where we are, though.
In a sick world, people would say, well, Miami of Ohio, who have you beaten? Why do you deserve to get in? You only went undefeated. That's not good enough.
Not good enough. By the way, Shane Barrett on YouTube says their conference is dog water. So not a good conference, but they have an opportunity. I think Diesel, if they win one of those last 2, they're in. That is in or out, presented by not the burger chain, but the Cole and Diesel self-proclaimed burger restaurant that we're opening soon. I hadn't told you about that yet.
How should we cook our burgers?
On the grill?
Open grill?
Yeah, I like
open grill.
I like
Love
a
it.
grill. I like a char. I like that flame, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta
get
flame.
Gotta get a little of that on there. Cole, when we come back, we have not talked very much in the way of NFL dealings in the offseason. But there's a big one that mentioned it earlier in our daily wires. A big change is a-coming, but I wonder why more quarterbacks, more players in the NFL don't make the very obvious decision on how to win. We'll talk about it next. Kansas City Chiefs finished 6-11 last season. Cole, that is a far cry from what Chiefs fans are used to. They're used to winning chips, baby, chips, stacking them up. But obviously, they got some pieces on that roster that are getting real old, and they've had some pieces move on that they have not been able to replace. And it begs the question, and we mentioned this news earlier in the show, that the Chiefs have reworked Patrick Mahomes' deal to create a ton of cap room. They've moved a bunch of his salary for this year into a signing bonus. Wouldn't that be nice? You're used to getting I don't know, a $15 million check, and all of a sudden they say, well, now you're going to get $5 million checks, but we're going to go ahead and pay you like $50 million up front.
Yeah.
That'd be a real nice problem to have.
I take it, right? But that's what good quarterbacks do, though. Tom Brady did it. You got to rework it.
Why, though? If the pursuit, and if you're Patrick, you got to realize, like, he's not old yet, but he's not far from being old as far as NFL terms are concerned. Why not take the league minimum for your salary? You're already ridiculously rich. Why not take the league salary? Let your team spend ungodly amounts of money in free agency and build just an absolutely unstoppable juggernaut around you.
Because he's too good of a player. That's why. He's just
too good of a player, or too egotistical. It's not, I don't mean the word egotistical. It's not the right word I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Or is he too good as a person to take almost no money to do the job?
Well, I don't think anybody would. I think that'd be ridiculous to
Why?
basically, because
if you're trying to stack titles,
well,
if he's trying to if he really wants to chase and beat Tom Brady, this is the way to do it. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah, but guess what? Stacking titles isn't near as important as having generational wealth. It's just not.
He's already got generational wealth.
Yeah, but I'm talking about more generational wealth and more generational wealth.
Patrick Mahomes' net worth right now is estimated between 90 and $120 million. We know that he is invested in other sports teams. Like, really, these are problems that you and I and our Tolos, except for maybe Shane, because we know Shane is Scrooge McDuck diving into piles of cash.
Yeah, he's loaded.
We will never understand what this is like, right? But, like, what's the difference if he goes from, assuming the high end of his net worth, $120 million net worth, to $150 million net worth? Like, what's the difference? Come on, Pat.
Yeah, I know. Look, it sounds nice. It sounds like the right thing to do, but I'm telling you, if I were in his shoes, ain't no way I'm taking
1,000% would.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
Go get me the absolute best of the best, ridiculous, stacked receiving room. Go get me Derrick Henry. Go get me whoever, the Saquon Barkley. Give me the best of the best around me and watch me win 5-6 in a row.
And that's great. But the reality of it is, guess what? The NFL pays their best players. And look at what Dak Prescott's making. Look at what Josh Allen's making.
That's why the Cowboys won't win.
Well,
it's
why a lot of organizations, including the Cincinnati Bengals, you look at the Bengals and what they had tied up in their three best players, Diesel, they also hurt themselves. So I realize it. And Tom Brady, again, going back to the Brady years in New England, he reworked deals. Like, it's been done. LeBron, everybody's done it, and it should be done. Reworking deals is not the same thing, though, as basically working for free, is all I'm saying.
And do you know off the top of your head what the NFL league minimum?
No, it's changed. I was going to guess
$885,000.
I was going to guess 750.
Okay, Pat, make it a cool million. I'll work for $1 million.
But $1 million that's free, though. That's free.
So that's free.
Yeah,
that's free.
Yeah. Think about it. If you go from making what he's making to what did you say? 750 or 800 a year, 800K a year. All right, now take out taxes. How much is he going to have left after taxes?
550, 600 maybe.
And you're asking the best player on planet Earth to play for what people across the street are making?
He is so rich that he doesn't. I guarantee you, Patrick Mahomes doesn't know when his paychecks hit.
No,
Patrick Mahomes never has to check his bank account to find out if he can go to the grocery store and stock up for the week. He could go buy a brand new Porsche, Lamborghini, yacht, G5 airplane, whatever it is. He doesn't even have to call his accountant to find out if he's got the money. Look, this is not a stupid idea. It's just none of them will actually do it.
No, nobody will ever. And I wouldn't do it. There's no chance, and where I did. There's no way I'd ever do it.
But if you were already worth $150 million.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not giving my services for free. I'm not doing it. And especially if I'm the best player on planet Earth. Like I'm Patrick Mahomes playing for basically some, what a lawyer over here in Greenville is making. Like, come on. Are you kidding me?
Eric Hines on the text line says his wife won't let him. She's a bleep. Hey, don't
Eric, tell us how you really feel.
Woman.
Tell us how you really feel.
Look, it's a strategy that would work. Nobody's done it yet, but it would work.
But would it though? Would it work?
Yeah.
How do you know that you'd win a Super Bowl though? I mean, how do you know? Like Ohio State had expensive rosters in college football. Texas has had college football's expensive roster, but I'm just saying you got to have the right players, right?
I mean, if you could put Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all these guys on the same roster, you can't defend that. You cannot defend that. There is absolutely no way to defend that field with Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball.
But
and the refs giving him every single call when somebody breathes on him the wrong way.
To play devil's advocate, there have been a lot of really talented teams that hadn't won the chip. Like really talented teams.
I'm not debating you there.
Like, and the only reason I'll say that, let me give you this example. When Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and James Harden said, you know what, the three of us are going to Brooklyn. Nobody on this planet thought they weren't going to win a championship. You heard those three, Kyrie, KD, and James Harden, teaming up in Brooklyn with some pretty good bench play.
Yeah.
Everybody thought this is how they're going to win every year. There's no chance. Like those three in their prime, and they didn't do it. They couldn't do it.
That's Exhibit A. I'll give you that. Exhibit B, I'll give you the LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it with essentially this strategy, right?
Well,
Shohei's taking nothing.
He's taking nothing
for right now.
And if you could do it for right now, it's different. If you told me, I mean, what Shohei's doing right now is basically playing for $2 million a year, and all the money's going to come later. If it were that instance, Diesel, okay, then you've got my ear, right? Then you've got my ear a little bit when you have that conversation. But the difference between that and what you're saying is Patrick's never going to see that money. And no. Yeah, I'm not going to come out there and play if I'm never going to see it.
Here's how you get around that. You say, okay, Patrick, we're not going to pay you but $1 million this year, but there's a yacht parked, moored, to use the nautical terms, moored off the coast in Galveston.
Oh, listen, Galveston's a horrible place, though. It's nasty.
Just so happens, because nobody's going to look for it in Galveston. Just so happens to have the keys in the ignition and no one's on board. Just letting you know. And you stuff the cabinets full of cash.
Oh, my God.
Dewey
Talking about a drug ring. What are we doing?
Dewey says coal is worth $2.5 trillion. Cole gets that bonus check from Burns.
And he spelled it Burns. Yeah. I wish, Dewey. I wish on both of them. I wish. I wish I was worth. Hey, you could even take 1, 2, 3, 4 of those zeros off, and I'd be happy. Jarrett Tripp on the Joy Love from text line says, if I have as much money as Patrick Mahomes, I wouldn't be worried about a woman or be married.
Oh, come on, Jarrett.
You got to sign a prenup.
You need somebody to keep you warm at night, right? You got to have somebody to snuggle up to.
I don't know.
Can't snuggle up to someone different every night. They'll take all your money. That's how you end up with no money, Jarrett, just so you know.
Well, they'll take your money, but if your wife, then you're married to what your wife divorces, then your wife gets everything, right?
Well, that's when you get a really good attorney and you make sure that anything she buys with your money belongs to you.
You got to sign the print. Dan B says no music seems to be gone. Dan, we did a segment for 20 minutes with the game show music in the background.
Yeah, the music was supposed to be there, Dan. Are you? Where are you in the show?
Sky right now?
Where are you in the show right now?
He might
are
be
you
flying
true
a plane.
live with us?
He might be toloing from the cockpit.
Oh, that'd be cool. Can you get radio reception and or streaming reception at 36,000 feet?
Well, the planes have Wi-Fi, so I wonder if he could.
I'd really love to know.
Let's see. You can get on YouTube.
I know that.
I don't see why not.
I know that pilots have to be focused, right?
But why though? They don't do anything.
They got to be focused for takeoff and landing.
That's right. There you go.
But outside of that, Dan has told me that the computer flies the plane for you, basically.
It does.
So, like,
to and from.
What do you do? I mean, I know you have to be paying attention, but honestly, do you ever get out your phone, Dan, and like play Snood or something on your phone?
Well, I mean, they obviously
flight,
there are a guy I went to college with just got his pilot license. I think it'd be fun to do as long as you don't encounter birds. I did watch that movie a couple of weekends ago.
I just get a random "yes, you can" text from Stoneman.
Really?
I assume he's talking about can you get
You
radio
use your-
reception in the air or use your phone in the air. But see, Stoneman, without the context, I don't know what you're referring to.
Imagine that Stoneman without context. I mean, that is imagine that, right? And I don't know how we got from Patrick Mahomes to he says, I am live, but if the music was supposed to be there, it was very quiet. And he says, no, we are not allowed to be on our phone. So I think Stoneman was saying, yes, you can stream.
Well, how are you supposed to communicate with your what the Cowboys refer to as a buckle bunny on the ground where you're headed? If you can't be on your phone in the cockpit,
just the headsets,
I guess,
all through the headsets.
Okay.
So Dan, we appreciate that. That was really valuable. We needed to know that. We really did. Bottom line is though, as much as I love Patrick Mahomes, taking pay cuts, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with taking a pay cut, but playing for free, I'm not on board with that. Playing now, the deferred salary, and people don't realize, like they say, oh, Shohei Ohtani's deferred salary. They don't realize how much is being deferred. It's ungodly amounts. Literally, I wouldn't exaggerate when I said he played for $2 million.
See, this is one of those things that scares me, right? Like you see it in a movie where they say, all right, we're going to give you, $5 million this year, but in 2040, we're going to give you $200 million. Bro, you're not going to make it till 2040. Somebody's going to push you out in front of a car.
Oh, it's definitely,
not gonna happen.
I mean, you do wonder. I mean, I'm sure that thought's crossed his mind. And I'm sure he has, high paid security to make sure that doesn't happen. But to be able to play, I mean, think about it. That guy this year was playing baseball for $2 million, and he's the best player by far on planet Earth.
It can be done. It can be done. I know that salary caps or versus no salary cap, it's a completely different story. And you haven't seen it in the NFL, but God, it feels like you could one of these days, right?
Now,
it's like
again,
we're not going to pay you. We're not going to pay you that much money, but on the last day of your career, we're going to sign you to a 1 year, $85 million contract, or 1 day, $85 million contract, and just give you all that money on the back end.
Well, the thing about it is, it can be done by restructuring those contracts. I'll give you an example. CeeDee Lamb was just asked about it. When talking about George Pickens, I think Dallas is expected to franchise tag George, which CeeDee Lamb was asked about it at the Super Bowl. He said, would you restructure your contract to keep George? And CeeDee said yes. So I think players like
selfless.
I think players are willing to do that because CeeDee knows how good of a player George Pickens is. One of the best receivers in the league. He knows that if Dallas wants to be good, they need George Pickens next year. But he also knows that there are ways to do that. And these NFL owners, man, like you can find ways to restructure it and get around certain gray areas.
Let's be real, though. This isn't about the players. This is about the agents. If you take money away from the player, you take money away from the agent. It's the agent's job to make sure that this player and therefore him make as much money as they possibly can.
Yeah, and as a teammate, I wouldn't have a problem. Like if I'm on a team, you want to be a team player. You want to restructure your deal, but you've also got to make sure you're getting your bread too. Like you got to feel like you're getting what you're worth. And if you're getting what you're worth, you don't mind. The parent company, the team, the organization moving some of your money around, and in that case, maybe cutting a little bit. I think it's vital. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that I don't want anybody to take pay cuts. I think it's vital for teams and really good players to take pay cuts and restructure contracts to be able to. I mean, for example, they lost Tyreek Hill. But what happened the next year? So here's a weird way to look at this situation with Mahomes. They lost Tyreek Hill. The very next season without Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback on the planet, won a Super Bowl the next year without Tyreek Hill. So, yes, you need talent. But you also have a guy in Patrick Mahomes where you feel like, and what'd you say they went this year? 7-6
and 11.
6-11, something really, really bad.
Yeah.
They had injuries, right? We all know how banged up they were and how
but if
banged
you're
up he was.
so good across the board, injuries aren't going to hurt you as much.
Hopefully.
He's also got investments in Kansas City Royals, in Sporting KC, Kansas City Current, Alpine F1. He's got investments in technology and wellness and food and beverage. He co-owns a burger chain. He's got a lot of endorsements going on. I guarantee you he makes more money from all of that combined than he does his salary.
He's got a lot of
like for real at that point, man, like the money coming in on you from your NFL, the one that has that crest on it, like that's like, you know, somebody sliding you a 20 when your paycheck is 10 grand.
Got a lot of money coming in.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Dan B says the rules are that way because a couple pilots were on their laptops trying to bid schedules and completely missed the city they were flying into.
Oh, what a great segue.
That's why you can't be on your phone while you're flying.
Dan, you're the Tolo of the day because this is a great segue.
He didn't even know he was doing it.
No, he didn't. Speaking of missing the city that you were flying to, the very next segment, I'm not picking on this local high school, but maybe we are. We're reporting news here. Great segue by Dan B. If you hadn't heard this story yet, one local high school, what happened last night, you want to stay tuned because we'll have it for you next. Captain B with the very nice segue in the last segment where we were talking about pilots being on their phones. He said, rules are that way because a couple of pilots were on their laptops trying to bid schedules and completely missed the city they were flying to. And that provides a great segue to Diesel, the last segment of the show today. And it is a segment that I never thought you and I would have the conversation about on these airwaves. But here we are. This tweet that was sent out last night from Pete Yannity of WSPA was really, really interesting. And before I read you the tweet, I want to ask you, Diesel, do you know where Chapman High School is?
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chapman High School,
County.
Spartanburg County, and Inman.
Yeah.
Do you know where Chapin, South Carolina is?
Chapin is on the way to Columbia. Right?
Almost to Columbia, right before you get to Columbia. So just so we are clear here, Chapman and Chapin are in two different places, right? We can all.
Oh my God.
No. You have no idea. You have no idea.
No.
You have no idea. You have no idea. So last night, Pete Yannity tweets out, tip-off for tonight's Belton Honeypath at Chapman and Inman. 3A Upper State Girls Basketball Playoff game is delayed until after 7 p.m. The visiting team, Belton Honeypath, who, by the way, is just up here in Anderson, right?
Yeah.
30 minutes up the road, headed to Chapin in Lexington instead of Chapman.
How far did they get down the road before they realized they were going the wrong direction?
It's a great question. And, here's the worst part. Chapin is not even in their classification.
Do you think?
So they couldn't be playing them in the playoffs.
Do you think they drove down into the flatlands of central South Carolina? They looked around and they thought, man, I thought the Rockies would be a little rockier than this.
I mean,
you went 1,000 miles in the wrong direction.
Word. Let's map it out here. You leave Belton Honeypath High School, which is in Belton, right over in Anderson, near Anderson. You get on 85. And you think, okay, to get to Chapin, we got to get on 85, and then we're going to come up through Greenville, probably come all the way up to Spartanburg and hit 26 toward Columbia.
You hit 385.
385, you're right.
Cut the corner.
Cut the corner. Hit 385, so 85 to 385 to 26 in Clinton, right? Hop on 26 in Clinton. Then you're headed to Chapin, so you're in Clinton. You're probably 45 minutes to an hour, maybe 45 minutes or so away from Chapin High School, which, again, is a different classification. I do not know how far they made it. But I can tell you this. That is real. That's not fake.
Oh my God.
It is quite comical that a high school couldn't differentiate between Chapin and Chapman.
Had to have been a GPS issue, right? Like you tried to type in Chapman, it auto-corrected to Chapin.
You would hope.
Somebody
would
told you, like, yeah, it's from Anderson, it's an hour away-ish. And then you saw the map and said Chapin. It's about an hour away. Boom,
I just
click it, and then you go in the wrong direction.
I just got a direct message from a coach, not going to say who. The direct message says, was told they, BHP, got all the way down there.
Oh, my God.
So you go all the way to – but, like, here's the thing. We laugh about it, but this is like there's no excuse
funny.
for this.
It's so funny.
It is funny, but there's no excuse. You can't not know the difference between Chapman and Chapin.
So,
Wider, what's your name?
My wife's parents live out in New Mexico, and they bought tickets to go see a rock band play in Santa Fe. It's about like an hour away from where they live up in Los Alamos. They dressed the part. They went. There was a metal band called Mac Sabbath. They do Black Sabbath covers dressed as characters from McDonald's. They went to McDonald's. They got dinner. They showed up to the parking lot. There was nobody there.
Oh my God!
They didn't realize. They didn't know that the concert was the following year.
Oh,
they missed the date of the concert by a year.
An entire year.
An entire year.
We've got one caller, Kev from Inman, wants to weigh in. We've got like 1 minute, Kev, 60 seconds. What's up, man?
See, this is exactly why I said I wanted to be the new GPS guy on your phone.
Yeah.
This is exactly why. Because, see, you had to put Inman, South Carolina in there. Like, how did you – I'm not understanding – Chapman, Chapin.
Can I get you to say, turn it around, dum-dum?
Right. Throughout the years, I said where I went to school at, and I have heard people say Chapin. No, I didn't say Chapin. I said Chapman. Chapman. BHP and Chapman have been playing for the last few years. How did you start going towards Chapin? No. We need to check this person here out.
I'm telling you, Kev, I'm with you 100%. Thanks for the call, by the way. He's right. There's no excuse for it. Like, you're in the same classification. You play in football. You played the playoffs before. You've played in you played in the regular season, for crying out loud. And you get on 26 and nobody on that girls basketball bus, coaching staff, bus driver says, what are we going to Columbia for? I mean, it blows my mind. So nonetheless, sorry to roast you for 6 minutes, Belton Honeypath, but
was Dewey driving the bus?
That's a good question. It's a really good question.
Possible.
That is
Real
just
possible.
that is the story of the century. Belton Honeypath driving to Chapin High School instead of Chapman High School. There's your show close on a Wednesday, Diesel. How about that?
Tolos, we got some college basketball coming up for you next. You'll hear 30 minutes of pregame with Dan Scott, the voice of the Furman Paladins, as they have a big matchup tonight against the East Tennessee State Buccaneers right up the road in TR. Big one. Get there if you can, but listen to it right here on the Fan Upstate